Expo. I think LabyRinth thrives in those kinds of games anyway, where he can get an Expo up and then mass them Gargs, baby.
Demon Hunter creeping fast, gonna be a quick level 2 here with the immolation, taking out 2 camps at the same time. We know that one. Labby with a double skull was scouted, and now 15 Sway knows he has to get ready for both options, either a fast expansion or a push towards his own main base. He's making more archers, getting more moonwells. I think that's the third one. Yep, 3 moonwells before the tech. And Labby is still considering his options.
Yeah, I like the build so far from 15 Sway. A pretty standard ladder build, honestly, that sort of covers all bases just in case you can't quite make out what the undead is doing and what their plans are. But from our point of view, we could see LabyRinth is conserving his resources here. He does have basically enough to start tech shortly. A ghoul going down there, a little bit of miss micro there from LabyRinth. Trying to secure his own level 2 here, though. Very important, of course, against Elf in the early stages. Last hit is very important here. Nicely done. Coil going out onto the ghoul, but he blew through his entire mana pool already, which is kind of crazy. But then again, it will most likely just be burned away by the Demon Hunter anyway, so I guess it's not so bad.
So in the end, despite the initial danger of seeing the double skull, it might just be a standard game in the end. Oh, Archer, first blood, maybe. Oh my god, that was like a millisecond. Photo finish to save the Archer, and so far none of them have gone down. Like you mentioned earlier, 1 ghoul was killed, and 1 ghoul is not the end of the world, but if the kills stack up, it will become noticeable. And that was a bit unnecessary earlier, to be honest. So now, time to micro quickly keep all these units alive. And I think Labby's already, 15 Sway already figured out that this is not a full-out real tower push. It doesn't seem to be enough ghouls for that, considering how late in the game we are. DK's hurt, he'll have to back up, he's got to replenish, but he certainly still must make sure that the Ziggurat doesn't finish.
Yeah, absolutely. If the Ziggurat were to actually come up, 15 Sway might find himself in a bit of a sticky situation with the Nerubian Tower. Ooh, needs to be a little bit careful here with the archers, of course, which are so fragile. One being pushed off to the north there and being killed. Not too amazing, but the DK is also looking quite low here, dropping another skull, actually, as well, which maybe is a bit questionable. Demon Hunter getting low as well. The Moonwells, though, at least one of them is looking very healthy, at least. Should be able to bring the Demon Hunter back up a decent amount. There we go, almost full HP, half HP. Well, the timing seems to be good. 5 archers in position is already plenty to take care of that. Actually, that might be 6. Yeah, archers. 6 archers. Wow, okay. A lot of early game investment, though, by 15 Sway. But of course, LabyRinth did as well. He hasn't made much headway towards level 3. There's no expansion cleared. Not much lumber either. 34 lumber, Remo. Well, 54 now. And we're almost at tier 2. Honestly, it's a bit dicey for LabyRinth.
Yeah, it seems like LabyRinth was trying to play, you know, the trickery game, the mind games, but 15 Sway didn't really fall for it too much, with the exception of perhaps going for too many archers. I feel like 6 archers is a lot of archers. Later on, you want to have an army mainly comprised of dryads and bears, and maybe some talents, although that normally only an upkeep. So these archers can hold you back, because the archers don't do well at all against a frenzy push. Because normally you never get long bow upgrade, although it might be worth it this time to embolden them a bit more. Good start for the Demon Hunter, but now Labby also again trying to put on some pressure. Naga second for him. He knows the demon isn't level 3, which are oftentimes where the Naga can thrive. But she herself has no boots. This game from LabyRinth, you know, being compared to the greats, being compared to 1-0 and happy all the time, I must say it's looking a bit toothless.
Yeah, I feel like LabyRinth here was just not quite committed to one idea, or maybe 2 at the very most. It seems like he was trying to do one too many different styles, or trying to employ one too many different sort of approaches to the early game here, and essentially didn't get anything done, which is kind of rough. Oh, DH is quite low here, but the Creepjack coming in for 15 Sway. I'm not sure how much he can get done here, though. Yeah, 1 archer most likely going to be taken down. Shadow Melt, Dust is there.
It's got a
1 archer loss, not too bad.
That could be a playmaking item. If he gets into the right position with the heroes being low, that Wand of the Wind could net him a kill, maybe. Especially if he's got dryads. Oh, Labby now creeping very aggressively. That's dangerous. That's an invitation for a Creepjack.
Yeah, and the Ancient of War is also in position here as well. It's definitely a little bit questionable here. Naga being focused immediately by LabyRinth, but
there's boots on either side, by the way. Nobody has boots. What is going on?
Shocking behavior, Remo. Absolutely shocking.
They both deserve to lose.
They both get a defeat screen regardless of what happens, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Demon Hunter here very close to level 3, which would almost certainly scare Labyrinth off of this harassment attempt here. That would be pretty frightening indeed. I would love to see the Wand of the Wind actually get a kill here though. That item is pretty much useless later on, so it feels like there is time to get it done.
Now.
Yeah, there's 2 Dryads as well.
Range. It's an easy kill.
There's 2 Dryads. You can just keep a hero slowed completely here. Okay, I'm not quite sure why 15 Sway doesn't want to pull the trigger there on the Wand of the Wind. That would certainly be a guaranteed kill. Probably on the DK if you just used it straight away. You can't get away from 2 Dryads slow, Frost Arrow slow. Just not possible. So a bit of a, don't know, holding back for some reason. It's 15 Sway right now.
Maybe that was intentional to keep for later. Like, later they're going to be destroyers. Like this would have been the best opportunity. I think 15 Sway just hasn't experienced enough misery himself yet, being a young player as he is, from the Wand of the Wind, because normally, like this mid-game moment, Wand of the Wind, that can be a game winner when the opponent doesn't have a TP like he didn't have. 15 Sway honestly missing a big opportunity there, but still not a bad game for him. Bit of accuracy found. That could be a sell. Sells the wand. Sells the wand, bro. What is going on?
I mean, I guess now is the time to get rid of it. There will be destroyers in about a minute's time. But yeah, sad to see it go unused. It would have been definitely a huge playmaking item about a couple minutes ago. Crystal Ball as well being held onto for the time being. I'd like to see that resold as well. You can see Lumber is quite tight for the Elf right now. Getting the Master Trainer, of course, which is quite expensive. Labyrinth looking quite healthy, getting the Frenzy Ghoul upgrade right now. The Lich, of course, is on the way too. So far it's looking kind of passive now. I think both players will aim to creep the map up. I'm not sure Labyrinth really has somewhat of a timing on the Elf base here in this particular game, so I expect to see a bit more of a passive game.
Juve being cast all over. If 15 Sway can creep one more camp, if he gets the lab, he's going to have level 4 and 3 by the time that the push hits, which would be absolutely perfect. 15 Sway honestly looking in a great position. Once he's secure on 50 supply, he must, however, make sure, I think, to also go for talents. That is normally the late game win condition against the Destroyer army. The likes of Happy and such can deal with the talents, but let me tell you, it is hard to do perfectly.
Yeah, if you miss micro destroyer for a second and takes a full volley from 5 or 6 talents, it's pretty much half HP straight away. So yeah, control will be absolutely key for both players. Of course, you can't get the talents all webbed, but of course there's not too many fiends on the field right now for Labyrinth, only 2 of them. But of course we don't have to worry about talents for a long while yet. Backpack upgrade coming for 15 Sway right now, a little bit odd. But there we are, as you said, Remo, 4-3 heroes ready for the defense, but one Moonwell going to be taken down before the fight even begins. A little bit of a sore one.
Great invuln as well. Dodge the coil. Mana burns need to come out quick and heavy. DK already out of mana. Immolation active in the back. I like that. Some units going down from 15 Sway, but he's trying to take over with the heroes because there's no recovery on the ground, no healing on the ground, because there's no statues. All the statues have been morphed. I am oftentimes critical of that play. Naga in trouble as well, but there's a potion still to save her. Fork Lightning's looking good. Looking really good. Can 15 Sway get the kill on the Naga in the end? One more mana burn will do it. And this push is looking surprisingly ineffective. That's because it's too late. 11 minutes in. That's not when the phrase timing is supposed to hit. These Night Heroes are too strong. And that was an easy defense really for 15 Sway, and Labyrinth not coming into his own on map 1. The early game didn't go too great, losing ghouls unnecessarily. The fake tower push didn't really lead to anything. And also, the creeping wasn't fast enough, the tech wasn't fast enough, the push wasn't fast enough. Labby just a bit slow with everything.
Yeah, not really taking our advice there not to push at that timing. It really was quite ill-fated. It looked a little bit grim for a second for 15 Sway. He did lose quite a few units pretty much straight off the bat. One bear had to be taken out the fight, one was killed, a couple of the backline units died very quickly. But in the end, the Demon Hunter standing tall, the Naga level 3 Fork Lightning focus, and just, yep, Labyrinth with nothing to protect his own heroes, and they went down really fast.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing, I would say, by Labyrinth. I expected way more. Usually when he plays these cheesy strategies, he looks really strong, but maybe it's a map thing. Maybe he feels more comfortable on other maps, especially the next one, Echo Isles. I think this plays way into his strength, way more. Definitely an expansion map for Undead in this matchup, and that's where Labby really shines. So there's hope for the Undead.
Yeah, especially on Echo Isles, you can also be pretty tricky. You can try to go for the fast expansion on your side, but if you see the opponent being greedy with creeping at the Merc camp, you could also just switch your plans and go for the tower push. And for a player like LabyRinth, I think that could be the perfect choice indeed. Understandable, this being his map choice. And here I come back to the Keeper. 15 Sway could get ready for both options being pushed or pushing against the expansion if he went for the Keeper and a green camp creep route. But as we're already getting ready for map 2, that doesn't seem to be the idea. 15 Sway, along with seemingly every other Night Elf, seems to be convinced of the necessity of Demon Hunter. And while I agree for most Night Elf for that to be the better choice for 15 Sway, I would have loved to see a Keeper still. But hey, who can argue with these results? 15 Sway's up 1-0. He's playing with the Merc camp creep early. This will be a Demon Hunter first. And this does open the door for Labby to be aggressive with a real tower push this time.
Of course, Aquile's not the longest distance between the two bases here. Tower Rush would prove to be really effective if LabyRinth decides to go with that approach. Of course, 15 Sway opting with the pretty greedy creep right here of the mercenary camp can be cleared pretty quickly by the Demon Hunter. The trouble is, you clear the creep, you take maybe a little bit of damage, it takes time. Of course, you have to spend mana on Immolation, which is less healing from Moonwells, and the Undead is in your base already. Can be really dicey, and things can go south pretty fast. We'll have to wait and see how both players take off in the early game here.
I wonder if Labby steals the Shadow Priest.
Oh.
I feel like a tower push would not even be holdable at all for the Night Elf.
Yeah, you can just throw in the chip damage from the Troll Priest, which isn't insignificant, of course. Heal your own units, heal your hero, interfere with the creeping as well. At the mercenary camp with the Troll Priest can be really annoying. If it was happy, he would probably get a last hit against the elf. So, you know, a lot of potential for things to go a bit awry here for 15 Sway. But we haven't even begun yet. Ancient of War, of course, has to eat immediately. We're going to see who gets the Troll Priest. LabyRinth gets it. Okay, let's see if this changes the dynamics here of the early game for 15 Sway.
Shadow Priest is being pulled back, though. Alright, LabyRinth seeing this creep camp, doesn't want to punish it. No longer does he want to be too crafty. This is going to be a fast expansion play. Did he just deny the creep, the Thunder? I think he did. 15 Sway denying one of the creeps here. This could be very painful for level 3. He's going to get level 2 regardless. I wonder if he's going to make it to level 3.
Yeah, the level 3 creep route in this map is quite tight, and yes, he did indeed deny one of the tunnelers here. So, not the most optimal start here for him, but of course might get the opportunity to get some experience on LabyRinth's side of the map. Potentially some skeletons, maybe a ghoul kill, you never know. There may still be hope for an early level 3. But yeah, LabyRinth of course decides not to go with that Tower Rush approach, which I think would be awfully predictable in this case. Now we have the Ziggurat coming down already, the expansion, and an immediate counter expansion by 15 Sway. I think that's very heads up by him.
Yeah, I like this build of 15 Sway. Many Night Elves are doing it nowadays. You don't go for the tech first anymore, you go for expansion first, because if you go for the counter expansion and it gets cancelled, it's basically GG right away. And with an expansion this early, normally you should, in theory, be able to keep it alive. TK gets intercepted. He's not yet level 2. It was very important not to lose a Wisp early game to the Coil last hit, because then the TK gets level 2 and things get way more dangerous. But still trying to cancel the tree. Who's gonna get the Berserker? This Berserker could make a big difference.
That was actually so smart by LabyRinth. To split off a Ghoul and Skeleton into the main base to secure level 2, knowing that 15 Sway would be kind of screen stretched and having to focus on multiple things at once. Didn't notice the Wisp was being attacked, and now there's Aura on LabyRinth's side. Very, very heads up by him.
Did however ensure the expansion didn't get cancelled, and that is the first notch on the belt for 15 Sway. Very important to get this counter expansion up in a timely manner. Next step will be the tier 2. Should be happening any second now. And LabyRinth, well, this is what we oftentimes see. He's going to have the faster expansion, but the later tech. And we'll see who ends up being ahead. This will mean 15 Sway gets a faster second hero, and a strong Panda will be needed later on.
Absolutely. I think a 2-base scenario, there's no substitute for the Panda. The Undead isn't going to have as many harass capabilities to prevent the Panda from creeping. Ancient of War will be most likely repositioned towards one of the middle camps, usually the marketplace or the shop, as well, to power up that bad boy to level 3 as quick as possible. These ghouls in the main base being surprisingly annoying actually for 15 Sway. Again, stretching opponents' attention span, their APM, forcing them to look in multiple locations can cause even pro players to make mistakes. But so far 15 Sway managing to harass nicely, not losing too much HP on the Demon Hunter here, but it might be a little bit tough. That's a lot of ghouls on the side of LabyRinth right now. And expansion is already mining for him.
Yeah, in these two-screen scenarios where you have to multitask, this is where having high APM is really helpful. And I think the number 440, that's his APM right there next to his
That
name,
is
right?
correct, yep.
Yeah. All right, this is a good day to be a high APM player.
That's a lot of spam, of course, but I'm sure he is flicking
What do you mean a lot of
screens
spam?
very quickly.
100% efficiency, Quberte. How dare you?
I like Lalaya is super efficient on like 200 APM, right? That's like peak gameplay, I think. All right, Archer being ensnared and taken down there, a little bit unfortunate for 15 Sway, but counter ghoul kill also being ensnared, of course, as well. Pretty funny there. The creeps meddling once again. Trolls be trolling as always. Got the trees here fighting the creep camps. Demon Hunter's going to get level 3 guaranteed here, which is very nice. Let's see what item drops. Something decent for him, hopefully. Gloves of Haste, not the best drop in the world, but there we go. Interesting to see the LabyRinth went for the Boots of Speed, Remo. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, surprising to see. Normally we see this along with a Naga second, but Naga second only really works in one base equal tech timing kind of game, so this will have to be a Lich. Well, honestly, it also helps. That means Lich can always run away from the Demon Hunter. But I will say the Boots don't do very much right now. But I suppose he has the gold.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused actually by LabyRinth's tech speed. We've got a little bit later than usual tech, given that he instantly expanded at an easy camp, and the gold mine isn't even fully saturated. There's only 4 acolytes instead of 5, so not only did he not have the time to produce 5 Echoes because he wanted to start teching, but the tech is also later than usual. C15 Sway has already hit tier 2, has the expansion rooted in about 10 seconds time. We've got 2 lores coming up as well, and straight onto the marketplace creeping. Very nice mid-game transition here by 15 Sway.
2 crypts on the way. This means it will be gargoyles. This is the playstyle that Happy has really paved the way for, who's making this look very, very strong, almost unbeatable. Can't remember the last time that Happy lost with Gargs, expansion Gargs on this map. But again, this is the typical Happy kind of an example. It looks really strong in his hands. It's very hard to make work when you're not called Happy. So we'll see how LabyRinth is going to pull this off later. He's still having to wait for the second hero. He still looks to be a bit underleveled. And smart creeping here by 15 Sway. Trying to take as much away from the middle, claim for himself as he can right now, while he has full map control.
Yeah, I think also 15 Sway is happy to give up the shop if necessary, just to keep taking away experience from LabyRinth's side of the map. Actually, the Demon Hunter here might be able to interrupt the creeping decently anyway. LabyRinth not looking, terribly healthy on his army right now, has no inventory space to buy a scroll if needed, for example. Oh, level 2 coil was available though, and Demon Hunter is taking some damage with parry apt, of course. Nice for him, but we do have the heal scroll purchase, so LabyRinth is pretty safe here. Panda is already 2.3 though, the Lich is only halfway done, so the XP differential is really mounting up for the elf side right now. More Moonwells coming, not forgetting about Macro, which is really nice, and because the Gargs are not coming out too quickly, I feel like the elf economy isn't really going to be harassed too much this game, and he'll be able to get everything online in a timely manner. God, this DK is so fast. He is unbelievably fast with the aura here plus the boots. It's just crazy movement speed. Can't even catch him. Even the Dryad slow probably.
The Shadow Priest with the heals. Oh my god, dude, he's way overcommitting for the Shadow Priest.
What the hell?
He's not even gonna get him in the end, and he lost like 4 ghouls or something. That was what we call a feed. If this was Dota 2, right now he would be getting reported from all the teammates. And I think 15 Sway here in a grand position. He's close to double level up. Sure, you had the expansion later, but looking at our wonderful overlay, there's not much to show for it, really. Resource-wise, he's ahead. Supply-wise, he's ahead. And LabyRinth is in dire straits here, I would say.
I feel like the only thing that really keeps LabyRinth in the game is the fact that you're massing gargoyles, which are just really hard to deal with in large numbers. Being 2 food units that basically output the damage of a 3-bit food unit against unarmored in particular. They are very strong in high numbers, of course, and a bit easier to control than the Mass Dryads, which often just get obliterated in one shot from a single volley. But the Panda is already level 3, and there's a very high likelihood that he will hit level 5 this game if it goes late. That is going to be a lot of dead Gargs.
Now while the Dryad numbers are still low, and oh, nice staff there.
The bear though.
Will be saving the Berserker. DK, by the way, also taking lots of damage. Death Knight! Anvil potion needed. Did he lose the bear? I guess he did, but lots of damage returned.
Yeah, the bear goes down. Actually, interesting choice of staff. I mean, both units cost almost the same, the Berserker and the bear. Berserker, you could argue, is actually a bit more useful immediately against the Garg, so keeping him alive was probably the right choice. Yeah, LabyRinth, again, just sort of overcommitting in these attacks. You know, Info Potion being forced, took a full breath combo on his Gargs. It's not looking amazing, and now 15 Sway gets to grab another middle contestable creep, which is obviously very nice for him. Transitioning to double wins, I like it. We're going to have a mass Dryad, mass Hippo army, I think, with a couple bears thrown for good measure. LabyRinth, on the other hand, just mass Ghoul Garg, no worms, no statues, no destroyers. I'm not sure how he's going to fare there in the late game. Okay, there's one statue actually.
You can go for Tri-Hero with the Dreadlord, try to outplay the Night Elf with Sleep, have the perfect engagements, the perfect timing, the perfect angle of attack. But there, again, I come back to saying, unless your name is happy, that's very hard to make work. And I still see 15 Sway here with a big lead. Only issue for him is that we're on Echo Isles and there's no lab on this map, which means no Shredder, which means he's having issues with lumber. But other than that, this is looking grand so far. But there's always a question still to be had between Hippos and Gargs. I think it's a bit of a dangerous choice to go for Hippogriffs. To be on the safe side, you could just spam pure Dryads, nothing but Dryads, and just pumping them out endlessly with upgrades. With Hippos, sometimes they can work well, but if the numbers aren't quite there, sometimes they get eaten alive instantly, and it's a huge failed investment. So you gotta make sure to get the numbers necessary.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting argument to be made about what to do here exactly as the Elf. It feels like you need the Hippos to win one big engagement for you, and you usually have a very big lead. But as you said, if they taper off and they just all get murdered and don't do any counter damage, then the Elf can get absolutely smashed. A little bit of a dive into the base here by LabyRinth, just taking out one building, one Moonwell is nothing too serious. The TP being expended, of course, as well there for 15 Sway. LabyRinth can just run on home safely, massing up more units, but I think 15 Sway can be content enough to just, you know, keep the Undead away from his base now, has time to mass up units. Of course, being supply blocked, though, is a bit annoying right now. He'd like to be 80 right this moment and have a TP at his disposal to maybe take a trade where you thin out the Garg numbers a little bit. But yeah, it might go a little bit stalematey here. This is the trouble. The Elf doesn't want to attack the Undead base, of course. The Undead only really wants to pick off maybe a building or two or a unit or two and move back. So both players just going to go back to the turret camps now.
Now the last creeps on the map, some much needed experience for LabyRinth. He was close to double level up, important level ups as well, level 4 and 3, especially the Nova against the Hippogriffs is going to be crucially important. The matter that you engage in will be a really big deal. Ideally, as the Undead, you want to bait the Night Elf to come in by attacking yourself, then falling back, then all the Hippos clump up and use the Nova on all the Hippos at the same time. Which is hard to do for the Undead perfectly, but even harder to, I would argue, to counter for the Night Elf, so Micro here will be a big factor. But what happened to the upgrades, by the way, for LabyRinth? Only 2-0 finished a moment ago. Ideally, with a fast expansion like this, you want to have upgrades way faster. Honestly, LabyRinth could be at 3-1 upgrades already, but he kind of neglected those.
Yeah, especially given his resource count right now, just sinking resources this second into more Gargoyles could definitely be 1 or 2 upgrades further ahead than he currently is, but the same could be said a little bit for 15 Sway here. Actually getting the 2 Moonwells required to go to 100 food, not getting any more upgrades actually, just 0-1 currently for his army. Of course, the good thing is here for 15 Sway's Elf, all your units currently benefit from this upgrade basically. The Hippos, the Dryads, the Bears all share the same upgrade paths, which is very nice. But it doesn't mean too much if you only have 0-1. We do have the first attack upgrade coming in now as well, which is a quick upgrade, but we're going to need a lot more than that to get through the mass Garg army that, of course, 15 Sway will have to deal with.
If it's going to be a blowout, though, the next fight, I still greatly favor 15 Sway. If it's even trading, both players losing much, then the Demon and Panda will reach level 5 very, very soon. And normally level 5 is a death sentence for any Undead playing Gargs, again, unless Your name is Happy. Bro, I'm really fanboying Happy right now in this game, but he comes to mind in this kind of a game because, like I said earlier, it was Happy who popularized the Garg play on this map and showed how strong it can be when played perfectly. Not to take too much away from LabyRinth, but this was not a perfect gargoyle game. He doesn't really have a lead, but he doesn't have no chance either.
Yeah, I mean, we can see the numbers here in the overlay very nicely. We've got 16 Gargs, that's probably a 17th in production right now, and only 7 Hippos. So, in a straight fight, of course, it looks on paper that the Elf has no chance, but the Elf will be able to kite a little bit as well, using the Panda Breath Fire combination. We've also got the Dries, of course, that'll be able to slow some Gargs if you might be picked off more easily. And of course, since it is Echo Isles, we don't have very high level heroes for the undead. It's not even Tri-Hero, so all we have to work with is one level 2 Nova being thrown out now and then, which is of course very effective. It has an unlimited unit cap, which is insane against air that just clumps together. But I think, yeah, 15 Sway here still looks in a prime position. We have the expansion in the north coming up as well. More and more Hippos. Maybe it's just Hippos all the way to 100 food here, which might seal the deal for LabyRinth. But Labby does get the chance now to sit at 80 food, bank up a ton, and getting more upgrades, Remo, which you'll be happy with, I'm sure.
The timing is slipping away, though, and I feel like if you want to fight this ultra late game fight, you need to have the Dreadlord. If he just buys 10 seconds where the Panda is deactivated, that can win you the fight. That's how explosive these fights will be. But 15 Sway is getting more and more ready. It's all lining up very nicely with the timing. I'm liking this. The expansion finishing, now being saturated. He's closing in on 100 supply, and the 100 supply Elf army is one of the scariest things in the game. The undead army with the nature of focus fire, orb and stuff will normally do worse the bigger the armies get, but also a lot will be down to heroes. And speaking of heroes, we have the 5th one to be added into the game, the Dreadlord, but coming only now. And this will be it. LabyRinth, once the Dreadlord is out, will have to go in right away. This 3rd base in the north that will decide the game and cannot be allowed for too long.
I mean, this might sound silly, but I'm almost interested to see if it's going to be Aura first from the Dreadlord. That would be trolling, I think. But there are going to be like 2 control groups worth of Gargs in the air, and that 20% lifesteal would be kind of huge. But of course, sleep is just amazingly effective against the Panda because you have that invulnerability period where you can't wake them up. Of course, it's very chaotic in a big fight. I mean, this is going to be 200 food clashing, so it's going to be just a total mess anyway. For both players to try and micro, you might not even notice your hero has slept. Yep, there we go. Sleep. We have 4 heal scrolls as well on the undead side, which is necessary against the Panda. Only 1 for the Elf, but of course they don't really need heal scrolls in this upcoming engagement. Maybe just 1 or 2 maximum. Oh, roared Hippos though. That is going to be insane damage.
Dude, when I look at these armies, I always get a bit of anxiety because this is so hard to control perfectly, dude. You're always happy when you can just A-move in, but A-move isn't ideal. Let's see what it's gonna be. Sleep on the Panda right away, needs to be woken up. Drunken Haze, Bubble Fire. Big damage, and it's an absolute slaughter in the air. No shift click as it seems, but rather A-click all the way through. Supply still looking pretty even, and keep his experience points in mind. Level 5 for the Night Elf, not too far away. Level 2 though, first on the Dreadlord. Now we have the Aura as well. And LabyRinth is trying to take a supply lead, but he has already burned through lots of those heal scrolls, not many left over. Demon are hurt as well, may have to be staffed out soon. Staff disabled because of the sleep, but now it's ready again. And the Undead now has a bit of a supply lead, but many of the Gargs still very hurt, and that's the double level 5. Is that the end?
There we go, Remo, level 5 Panda, especially this fight. This next breath is going to be absolutely massive. Wow, huge, but the numbers are definitely tapering off here for 15 Sway, a little bit under 50 food already. Here comes the Demon Hunter, I think, back into the fight. Yes, here we go, might be able to pick up a couple more Gargs. Wow, picked off 3 Gargs there with basically just the DH attacks, very nicely done. But the crucial thing to note is, both players have just taken this huge engagement, of course, massive losses on both sides. Look at the numbers on the top, 4k gold basically lost a piece. I think it's actually updating because there was so much stuff happening that the numbers keep going up and down. It's just crazy. But crucial to note is the 3rd base for 15 Sway is up. He will be able to replenish his forces really quickly here.
DK close to level 5, Red close to 3. Honestly, also the Undead hero is not looking too bad, but yes, the 3rd base, that one might be making the difference in the end. And quick reproduction. 5 units coming at a time for 15 Sway. Wow, you don't see that every day.
That's
He's
mad.
got triple Ancient of Wind. which now he's mass resupplying. I wonder if Labby should... Yeah, Fiend transition, exactly.
Fiends.
Transition into Fiends, that is a smart play. But this is also where the double level 5 heroes will come into play. Against the ground, this Demon and Panda will be able to do a lot of work by themselves, but some Bears or MGs would ideally be needed. 15 Sway very smartly halting production, wants to figure out what he needs to make next.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, making more Hippogriffs again, which, to be honest, you still need a large amount of Hippogriffs to deal with the Destroyers and the Fiends that will be webbing some of them, of course, but more Bears, maybe 1 or 2 MGs and more Dryads definitely required here. For Labyrinth, I would like to see like a mass ground transition, but the trouble is it's so expensive when you've been in upkeep basically most of the game. And at this point, going like Meat Wagons, Abominations and Fiends would be really expensive to change it to. It would probably be needed against the army that 15 Sway is going to decide to produce.
Earlier, the Night Elf had the more difficult to micro army with the Dryads and stuff against the Gargoyles. Gargoyles pretty straightforward, honestly, when it comes to microing. Now with the Fiend-based army, Labyrinth will have to do a lot more work against what are already very strong heroes. Gets level 5 on the DK, but not being able to use many of his spells. The mana burn is in right away. He's got the mana potion though, and at least delayed mining at the expansion for some time, taking out the Entangled. 15 Sway though is looking absolutely wonderful. He's got double level 5 ready. He's sitting on 3 bases. Labyrinth in a... It almost seems a desperate attempt, trying now to tech transition into Banshees. But once he's got those ready on Master, it's going to take forever.
Yeah, that's the trouble with Master Banshees. You know, if you don't even factor in building them, it's 150 seconds to get both upgrades. Then you need to make all the Banshees, get them up to 250 plus mana. You're going to need to have more than that so you can cast AMS on your units against level 5 Panda. So we have a very, very long transition ahead for Labyrinth. In the meantime, 15 Sway has that 3rd base re-established in just a second here. The Entangled is finishing. And look how much gold he has, 1300 at his disposal, 77 food, can easily break to high upkeep again if required. And of course, let's not forget, Elf has an additional win con in the late game compared to Undead, with having double level 6 heroes, Metamorphosis, and of course Stormwrath and Fire are just 2 crazy game-changing ultimates that Labyrinth will have to contend with in late game as well. So this Banshee transition, maybe it'll work out, but it's going to take a long time to get there.
Yeah, that can be the issue with going Hippogriffs when the opponent just doesn't go mass air anymore and tries to counter you on the ground. This is why ideally, instead of Hippogriffs, you want to have Talons as a counter to Gargoyles, because if there's only ground, you can at least go for Massive Training. That would have been even better to go for, but whatever. 15 Sway is just pumping out more and more units. Now we have Fairy Dragons and Dryads coming in. He's got so much gold. Again, closing in on 100 supply. And 15 Sway, I think he's enjoying this game quite a bit, even if there's no smile visible on his face. This game is looking wonderful for him.
He is very focused right now. I like the triple Fairy Dragons. I think 3 is pretty much the perfect amount to have against any number of undead casters. If the Banshees decide to possess, they might get obliterated really fast by the Mana Flare form of those fairies. It will be crucial for both players to execute the next fight to the best of their abilities, because one misstep from either side could prove to be fatal. A hero kill on the Night Elf side, all the bears being possessed, or of course all the Banshees being wiped out by the undead on the undead side. It could be a real messy one again. Remo, we had a super chaotic 200 foot fight that just... Wait, okay, 15 Sway, even though he's up a base, is deciding to just push now. I'm not going to let Labyrinth get that Master Banshee transition. Perhaps this is a really smart play. Oh, Nova going into the Hippogriffs here, they're trying to chase. But we see the Fiends being picked off at the back here, they're just so slow against the Dryads. More units being webbed at the back here, the Hippogriffs. But they don't have to do too much, honestly, they're almost fodder at this point, really. 15 Sway is just focusing those Fiends, you can see is literally right-clicking one Fiend after the next, trying to get rid of them as quickly as possible. And Labyrinth has to call it, nicely done by 15 Sway.
And that with a 2-0. What a series by 15 Sway. Big win for him in this contested Group B. Not the greatest emotions, but good and almost conservative play, I'd say. Nothing too spectacular, nothing flashy, but just straight up W's. And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed by Labyrinth's performance, rather.
Yeah, he didn't play too amazingly. Honestly, he didn't play terribly either. especially map 2, I think that one ghoul feed that really was bad, but you know, we forget sometimes. This strat can be hard to make work. Happy makes it look easy, but it's not that easy. You make a few mistakes and suddenly you're behind. You don't have the tempo to make all that work, and the power of the Panda and the Demon Hunter kick in late game, like we saw there. Yeah, Labby, we've seen him better before. I'm starting to worry a bit for him. Like when his cheesiness doesn't work out, when his weird expansions don't work out, I feel like these Nidos, when they're top prepared, have very good chances against him. Also, players like Colorful, I would see greatly favored against LabyRinth. Honestly, that will be an answer for tomorrow, I believe. But yeah, Labby down 0-2, and as we've noticed before, winning few maps can also be an issue.